which actually brings me into the OnePlus.
Yes, tell me about it.
That is a corporation that's not necessarily listening to their fan base. Look, they have really great things, and like you were saying, you can get their flagship for $650, which is much cheaper than the
It's
iPhone
actually
10R.
550. 550.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's go buy it today.
Yeah.
But they've made a name for themselves selling devices that really have great hardware at great prices. The Chinese phone maker has also built a loyal fan base, and they're always reaching out to users asking them, what do you like?
Yeah.
How can we improve on this? Well, as you know, with their newest phone, it came out with a notch that people
Mm-hmm.
weren't excited about back in March. And then this latest one doesn't have a headphone jack. And people lost their minds again
Yeah,
because
they
this is
did.
they want the headphone jack. They don't
Yep.
want a notch. If you listen to your consumer, that's who you should be listening to, or else you're going to lose a lot of money. And a lot of the fan base is frankly going to go over to Samsung because it's
Yeah.
the same story over there, but possibly just designed a little bit better.
And a lot more expensive.
That's true too.
But I got to tell you, yeah, people lost their minds when they brought the notch out. And so the OnePlus 6 came out earlier in the spring and it had a notch. Was it as crazy huge as the iPhone 10? No, but it still was an ugly notch. And I got to tell you, Dan, I really struggled because I seriously considered the OnePlus 6. But that notch just had me going, eh. And Carl Pei said, embrace the notch.
That's
and
right. He wrote that tweet, didn't he? And didn't he delete it right after?
He did. And his fan base went, ah! Like it was like the Hulk, like ripping off his shirt, and just everybody went insane over it. Now, I got to tell you, have you seen the new notch that's on the 6T?
Much better, right? It's a teardrop notch, yeah?
Yeah, it's so tiny. Now, if you got to have a notch, it's the way to go. I'm still not a notch lover, but on a scale of 1 to 10, where the iPhone 10 is a notch that makes you rage like the Hulk, the OnePlus 6 was probably a 5 or a 6, and the OnePlus 6T, this new one's probably a 2 or a 3 on a rage scale of 10. So it's really small. It's not nearly as obtrusive, but it's still there. But still, if you got to have a notch, I think it's the best implementation we've seen to date. So this all got announced, and of course it has the first under-screen fingerprint sensor, which we were talking about last week. And it's optical, so it takes a picture of your finger, and that's how the biometrics work. It's slightly slower. It's a third slower than the optical sensors that most fingerprint readers have. So some people say they notice it, some people say they don't. I prefer to have that fingerprint reader on the front, especially when it's docked in my car, so I can just unlock and go boop. And, you know, even though I have Samsung and it has Retina display, I find myself staring at my phone while I'm driving, like, you know, trying to get it unlocked. And that's not very safe. So.
Especially with all that ice.
Yeah. One thing we did say, one of the rumors that didn't turn out to be true, is that it would have expandable memory. It doesn't. But it does have great cameras. The cameras aren't much different from the OnePlus 6 that came out earlier. You still got a 16 megapixel front camera. You have a 16 and a 20 megapixel on the back, and you have great night mode. I don't believe that they have optical zoom, which is what I really look forward to when I have two cameras. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a great phone and the best price that you can get out there for all a phone.
Flagships, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing this phone does not have is proper waterproofing.
What?
And well, it's still you can drop it in the toilet and you'll be okay, but you can't drop it to the bottom of a swimming pool for half an hour like you can with all these other phones. Yeah. It doesn't have that same rating, even when they got rid of the headphone jack. So, you know, that's part of the problem with it. And it also doesn't have wireless charging. I'm pretty sure that's one of the issues. But you give up wireless charging and that extra waterproofing, and you shave off $300-$400 off of the price of a cell phone. So that's you huge. Can get, and they're no longer calling it a flagship killer. They're calling it a flagship.
Right.
So it is right up there with phones like the Pixel 3, the Samsung 9, the iPhone 10. Does it have all the bells and whistles they have? No, but it comes pretty darn close for a fraction of the price.
Yeah, the processor's screaming fast. The cameras are pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Now,
that price is really great.
the price is fantastic. In my opinion, I think this is by far the best OnePlus phone that we have seen. And we'll see. It actually looks like it's quite popular, and the fact that it's going to be released on T-Mobile. Oh, Dan, did you hear how much money you can buy it for on T-Mobile?
How much?
You can. So it's $550, and you can
Okay.
get $300 off by trading in an old phone.
Any phone?
Not any, they got a list, but they go way back. Like you can go back to a Samsung S5, you can go back to an iPhone, I believe, 6, and you can go all the way back to OnePlus One or a
Whoa.
OnePlus X, which my son has. I think I only paid $250 for it, and you still get $300 credit. So you're paying $250 for a flagship phone.
Right. You know what is the problem with T-Mobile though is I think their cheapest price that you can get is $50 a month for their unlimited plan. Last time I looked into it.
Yeah.
And I just do way better with other things. I pay $19.99 for my wireless bill, and it's five gigs of data. So it would be hard to get back into that. Where you're kind of renting the phone. Is that what it is?
You are kind of renting it, and you've definitely got to do your homework and research. Like, make sure that the cost of the phone is factored into that $50 a month.
That's true.
And see, is it cheaper? So ask yourself, how much would I pay without having this plan of $50 a month? Is it 35? Is it 40? And then is it worth offsetting the price of the phone? In fact, when I bought my Samsung S9 Plus, actually, it was way cheaper to do that, which surprised me. So for the last 3-4 years, I've always just brought my own device and paid a cheaper plan. But when I actually did the math, I said, I can drop $1,000 right now on an S9 Plus and then have this cheaper plan. Or for 2 years, I can only pay, I think it was $500 for it.
Nice.
Plus I get a trade-in. So, I mean, there were things, you got to do your homework and do your own research.
Cool. Well, that's great. And it sounds like OnePlus might even be among the first to launch the 5G phone, right?
That's the rumor. So Carl Pei made the announcement alongside Qualcomm. So this was a week or two ago, and Qualcomm's making these 5G chips, and they said OnePlus is our first baby that will be coming out with it. So, I think that's great. I am cheering for OnePlus. The underdog has grown from underdog to medium dog.
Yes.
So I'm all about OnePlus growing some more. So let's see how that goes.